So we have the city clerk candidates. One of the things we do also want to call your attention to is at the entrance to the right-hand side of the room, we have posted the job requirements, what the city clerk position requires, the qualifications for that position. We posted those up and we printed them up for you to be able to read them. Also, they are there for the city treasurer position. We feel that it's important that you are well informed of what is being asked and what is required of the city clerk positions. And with that said, we are going to go ahead and welcome Michelle Ascension, Peter, and I'm sorry if I pronounce your last name wrong. I apologize right now. Peter De Domenico, Deshae Ford, Tiffany Lopez, Sylvia Paniagua, Brian Patino, Alex Ray Rivera, and Jose Torres. Let's welcome them with a warm round of applause. All right, and Jose Torres is not here, not able to make it. He might sneak in somewhere, so leave his name badge right there. People are busy. All right, so with that said, we're going to give you, at this time, a clock that's going to be able to let you go ahead and give an open introduction of who you are, and we are going to be giving them 1 minute and 30 seconds. 1 minute and 30 seconds, and we are going to go ahead and start with Sylvia Paniagua from that side of the table, and we'll work our way down.
I'm Sylvia Paniagua, and I'm qualified to be the city clerk because of my extensive background in records management, which is the foundation of the city clerk's office. I have a master's degree in public administration and over 30 years of public service experience. I am currently the records manager for the Oxnard Police Department and the official custodian of records. I administer the department's records management program, and one of my primary responsibilities is to process public records requests. I work with retention schedules, and I'm responsible for retaining and destroying official documents. I also administer state and federal regulations so that the department is in compliance with Department of Justice and FBI guidelines. As a manager for the city, I am familiar with purchasing guidelines and the budget process. I have executed contracts and agreements and have experience writing staff reports. I also have leadership ability. I currently oversee 3 units and manage over 30 employees. I was instrumental in transitioning from a paper-based system to a fully electronic records management system. I have made it possible for the public to retrieve documents electronically. As the city clerk, I would update the city's retention schedule on a regular basis to keep the integrity of the records management program. I would transition the clerk's office to a fully electronic program and provide access to public documents. And ultimately, I would make council meetings more efficient by utilizing electronic agenda packets and fully automating the meeting process. Thank you.
What I'm going to ask, out of respect for time, because we do have a lot more individuals on the city treasurer, that you hold your applause to the end. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Next.
Good evening. My name is Peter De Domenico, and I'm a candidate for the very important office of Oxnard City Clerk in November's election. I'm an active, licensed attorney in California with the legal education, background, and skills to ensure that the laws governing the clerk's office are being correctly followed. I'd like to just very briefly go over 3 goals that I think are very important for me, is being sure that transparency is brought back to records at the clerk's office, and that we restore faith in local government and local elections, which is part of the clerk's duties. I also would like to increase online services that match those that I find, that I rely on every day at superior courthouses all across Southern California as part of my work as an attorney. And I believe that that can be done at minimal cost to the city. And I would like to build a bilingual infrastructure for the clerk's office that can allow access to Spanish speakers that it doesn't offer at the moment. Please know I'm not beholden to a political party or a political machine. I owe no favors to any special interests or individuals, and I promise to uphold the highest standards in record management and attend to legal detail and to take personal responsibility for the performance of this office. Thank you.
Michelle.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Ascension, and I appreciate you all attending tonight. The city clerk position often gets overlooked in elections, but I'm here to remind you that this is a very important, specialized profession that requires years of training and experience to master. I was the appointed city clerk for 8 years at the city of Port Hueneme. As an office of one, I performed all aspects of the job. Plus, I was the public information officer and the website administrator for the city. In January of this year, I took the opportunity to diversify my experience by becoming the clerk of the board at the Ventura Regional Sanitation District. Not many clerks can boast city and special district experience on their resumes. In addition, I've been a certified municipal clerk since 2009. This designation requires rigorous training standards, experience, and professional contributions to be met, which takes a minimum of 3 years to achieve. A little more about me personally. I grew up in the Lemonwood neighborhood, and my family and I continue to live in South Oxnard near the college. My husband David and I have 4 kids, the oldest who is serving in the Army and currently stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. I graduated from Fremont Junior High, Santa Clara High School, Oxnard College, and Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where I earned a bachelor's degree in journalism. And I've served on the library board for 2 years. I'm well equipped and eager to take the skills I've learned over the last decade of my career and put them to work for my hometown of Oxnard. For city clerk this November, I'm number 3 on the ballot, but number 1 in experience. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex Ray Rivera.
My name is Alex Ray Rivera. I was born on Ventura Road at the old Adventist Hospital, and I attended McKenna, Lemonwood, and Hueneme high schools. My parents moved us to the Inland Empire in search of affordable housing, and I was part of a biracial and interfaith household. And that gave me a deep understanding of cultural differences. I did suffer in the desert. It was very hot, and I always searched for a way to return back to Oxnard because I knew it was a special place. And I learned about public service from my grandfather, who was appointed to the grand jury, and from my tío and tía, who became extremely successful in their own right. I work in telecom for WorldNet Communications. We provide voice, data, cloud, and IT services to small businesses with multiple phone lines. And for the last 4 years, I have extensive experience in SAP and Oracle, where I've entered and recorded all the daily bid activity, placed POs, tracked orders. I'm also proficient in NetSuite and Ariba, one of the leading IT companies. I download call records and coordinate the billing and provisioning for our accounts. I basically handle the logistics, and it's something that I'm very good at. I've made contributions to the ceremonial calendar, helped solve crime in Oxnard, and I'll read a quote later. And I've recently shared with top management a Code Blue pedestal, which is an emergency intercom system for high-risk areas. And I understand the city, and I want to go to the next level together. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Brian Patino.
Hello, I'm Brian Patino. I'm so excited to be here, and I give thanks to God for everything. I will not boast about my intelligence, nor will I boast about my wealth, but I will boast about my personal relationship with Christ. And I am so very happy to be here, like I said before. I am a 8-year United States Navy veteran, and I have spent some time here in Oxnard, about 5 years total. I exited the United States Navy in 2014 as a Navy yeoman, which is an administrative assistant. I worked in various different offices. I've worked for high-ranking individuals, low-ranking individuals, and I've been all around the world. I'm enjoying my time here in Oxnard. As soon as I stepped foot here, I fell in love with the place. And the reason that I'm running is because I was asked to. The city has asked me to run. The people, I've been there for them, and I've spent time with them, each and every single one of them. And I am here to promote something good, something positive for this area. One of the first objectives that I had was to challenge the current incumbent. He's no longer here. The second intent that I had was to get these wonderful people up here on stage, and they are very intelligent and highly qualified. I'm excited for them, as I'm excited for myself to be here. Time is something that we don't get back, so we definitely have to manage our time. And right now, here in Oxnard, we need to take full advantage of that, and we have to operate wisely and take our moments to move with patience. I will listen to each and every one of you, and I will spend time with you.
Thank you, Mr. Patino. Tiffany Lopez.
Good evening. My name is Tiffany Lopez, and I'm running for Oxnard City Clerk. Since announcing my candidacy, the 2 questions I always get asked are, what does the city clerk do? And are you related to Mayor Lopez? Indeed, I am his daughter. I grew up in politics. I've had a strong passion for politics, this community, and civic engagement. I have been an elections officer for almost 20 years. I have had over 15 years experience in nonprofit management and community development. I'm a proud graduate of Sacramento State University with a degree in government and a minor in cultural anthropology. And I am currently a city council appointee of the Community Relations Commission, an Oxnard ambassador, a part of the Get Out the Vote committee, and involved in the Oxnard Kiwanis. I have founded 2 young professional groups in the county, the Young Leader Society and the Young Professional Network of Oxnard, currently in the process of starting emerging leaders through the Oxnard Chamber. I have been honored to have the endorsements of over 30 community leaders and business leaders. I've worked with many of them and have accomplished much in the city, and I'm going to work hard to get things done. Thank you very much.
Deshae Ford.
Thank you very much. My name is Deshae Ford, and I was born in Mexico, and I'm only one step from running from Donald Trump in the walls. But
Orale.
yeah, and I'm, of course, I'm deeply into my religious faith, too. I had this young family that came to me a couple of weeks ago, and they was about the issue of creation science, and the other one was evolution. And the child asked the father, where was people come from? And the father said, people come from Adam and Eve. Then he went to the mom and said, Mom, where people come from? Mom said, people come from primates and monkeys. Then he went back to his dad and said, Dad, you lied to me. You said people come from monkeys. You said people come from Adam and Eve. He said, no, I didn't. He said, Mama said people come from primates and monkeys. He said, well, Mama didn't tell a lie. Her family did come from monkeys and apes. Donald Trump told me that joke. But thank you very much. As I said again, my name is Deshae Ford, born in Arkansas. I have a PhD in public administration and psychology. I have a great deal of experience in government. As I said, I was born in Arkansas, and I worked for the Clinton administration. I worked for the Clinton administration when I was in the state of Arkansas. I worked in the health department as administrator and kept records. And I also worked 20 years with the United States Consul General to India and Australia. And my function there was also the process of keeping records for the Consul General. And also worked for the retired from the County of Los Angeles. My job there was keeping records too. So I've been keeping records for a very long time.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
My pleasure.
All right. So here we go, city clerks. Are you ready? Ready or not, here they come. All right. So question number 1, and you have 1 minute and 30 seconds to be able to answer this question. And I will respectfully, I got a lot of training in the first hour. I will respectfully cut you off at 1 minute and 30 seconds, all right? So, what is your plan to improve document storage, and can you simplify the record request process? There's a second part of this question. What is your recommendation for improving public access to non-confidential records of the city? We will start off with Sylvia Paniagua.
As far as improving document storage, I would go to totally electronic document storage. We would get rid of the paper. And you can simplify the records request process by automating that process as well. I work for the city, so I know the other side of, I'm on the other end of that request. So I know it's a very convoluted process, and I think it needs to be automated so that everybody can see who is asking for what, and they can actually go online and check to see the status of their request. As far as my recommendation for improving public access to non-confidential records, I've done that at the police department. We actually have given access to the public to non-confidential records, which is their own record actually. But it's pretty simple. You get a third party to host it, and then they're able to get their own documents. They should do that with the entire clerk records, because they're all public records.
Thank you, Mrs. Paniagua. Next, Mr. De Domenico.
In terms of what I would say is that we need to use technology to our advantage. I think that I'm concerned about the idea of destroying records. Some records can't be destroyed, and just coming from the law, we're probably going to need to keep the originals. But that said, obviously making them digitally accessible is the way to go. I also think that we can simplify the request process by allowing what the dockets, as it were, the case summaries that we're allowed to see what actually the clerk has, allow that to be seen online. I don't think that's very expensive or very hard to do. It's just basically turning our system outward, and I think that would simplify the request process. People would know what they're looking for. And I think that in doing that, that would improve public access to non-confidential records. And on top of that, at the superior courthouses where I go every day, they scan, at the very least, they scan the most sought after and the most important documents, judgments, divorce decrees, things of that sort. If we just make a list of the certain types of documents that we need scanned and imaged and put online for free, I think we could do that, and people could see city contracts, they could see historical documents, all kinds of things that people want to see in the clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ascension.
Well, the first step in tightening up your records management process is it all starts with a good retention schedule. Once that retention schedule is customized to the city's needs, you're able to ensure that it's being followed citywide. And we have to have a consistent processes across the departments. I know that it's kind of a decentralized records management process in the city of Oxnard, which is okay because there's a huge amount of records, but there need to be consistent processes across the city and across the departments. You'd also have to establish a records management policy. I would like to enable, to ensure that there's consistency, that we need to ensure that we have a records management committee with representatives from each department who are going to help execute the plan and ensure that the staff that's involved in the process is well trained. We'd also need to streamline the public records request process. That can be easily done with automation and technology. A number of cities across the state have done that, where you implement a software where this requester submits online, it's automatically routed, and the requester can track the process, the progress of their request. And we also need to better utilize our website. There's transparency checklists that show which documents are best practices to have on your website, easily accessible to the public.
Thank you, Mrs. Ascension. Mr. Rivera.
If you think about 24 years ago, the last time we had a new city clerk, that was in the era of NWA. That was before AOL. That was before Facebook, before Google. So you can't really blame everything on the old processes, but we've come so far with technology. It does make a lot of sense if we start doing online like an e-help desk, so people could submit the request in advance. You have to check to see with other departments, is this something that's confidential, something the city manager doesn't want, released to the public, is it financial? So you have to go through your process and find out if you can even release that. That's something you could do within your own department, or do you have to get extra help? I would definitely be looking at a digital kiosk. You could go to the DMV right now and get your tags right there if you could pay for them. So it makes a lot of sense. If you come to the city hall, you could be able to put in your request and then have somebody get back to you and get you an answer. The city is not on the same software department-wide. You could make a payment here and they don't show it over here. So we have started using MinuteTrack. That's with a queue, MinuteTrack with the queue, and that's part of a really large software company that caters to government. That's definitely a step in the right direction. I think we could do add-ons with other software and really improve the process. Thank you.
Mr. Patino.
Thank you. My plan to improve the document storage and simplify the record request process is simple. I would definitely encourage my team to be positive. We're definitely going to have to take a look at what the value is of all the records that are in place, the fiscal value, the historical value, the legal and administrative value. As soon as we assess that, we definitely have to get something going. I'm no stranger to a shredder, and I'm no stranger to uploading data into an electronic form, like some of the other candidates have stated. I would definitely reach out to some of my counterparts and see who's out there doing something really good that's efficient and effective and producing something well. I might have to go look at some other cities to see how other city clerks are doing it and adopt some of those ideas so we can overcome this issue. In regards to improving the public access to non-confidential records to the city, non-confidential means let the city see. It's time for them to know what's going on. Put it all out there. We'll definitely utilize a new wave of technology to ensure that people are getting the information that they need and require. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez.
Thank you. I definitely do agree that we do need to digitize the records process. I have created retention schedules in other positions that I've worked, and I do believe what Michelle said is important to create a retention schedule. I know that the city is currently having some budget issues, so I would be resourceful and innovative to find ideas to pay for modernizing the storage, retrieval, and distribution of the documents. And I would work with all the departments collaboratively to get this done. And I would love to, of course, streamline all the records requests and get them done and have them easily accessible to the community. I believe that transparency is important. Being an elected official, we are not, I want to repeat, we are not an appointed position as other cities are. We're only one of 3 cities in the county that are elected, and we are responsible to the people, not we are direct boss would be the city manager, but we are responsible to the people, and they do need to receive these records in a timely and efficient manner. Thank you.
Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. Don't want to sound redundant, but of course, definitely I'm into technology, and that is, of course, bring technology into the records, into the keeping and the retaining of the records, but also to explore other avenues. That is, you look at other counties like Santa Barbara, do an excellent job. You can bring them in for training, help us with our department in terms with the employees. What most important is, I always like to adhere to the law. So California have what is called the Public Record Act of 1968, and that provisions of that saying that there is no confidentiality of records, which you all have experienced here, like the council go behind and decide on monetary issues in secret. Well, the statute said they have to make those records available. So I will make those records available to you all. So also, I am also for establishing transparency and being sure there's always transparency with records, whatever the city council does, that the city people, that the citizens will always have access to that information, and do it in a very efficient and proficient way, because I understand that under the statute you have 10 days to get the records once people make the request, that you can do that in the most efficient way and establish efficiency and also in doing it. So I will establish a process by which one secure records. And as I said again, it definitely adhered to the California records reporting statute, and be sure that is adhered to, because currently in the old days we did not have that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Let's give him a round of applause for answering the first question. As there are many more candidates that are up here, we will also try to open it up for questions. So as you see some people coming up here, if you have a question that you would like to possibly have selected to be answered, our committee will be part of selecting any questions from the community. I would ask that you please bring them to the table over there. That would be greatly appreciated. So, Clerk, question number 2. We're going to start over here with Mr. Ford first. There are regulatory and contractual requirements to have certain financial documents produced. An example of such document include quarterly financial statements. What would you do as city clerk to assure that the public that the required documents are produced in a time frame required either by law or by contract? Starting with Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. What I would do is, of course, as I said again, adhere to the California reporting statutes. Be sure that all those records are accessible to the public, and also adhere to the provision of one of the provisions of the statute that there is no secrecy. All records are certainly accessible to the public, and also look at the confidentiality of records and be sure that is protected if there's some legal criteria in terms of keeping the records protected. But my feelings are, in terms of the statutes, make all records available to people, and be sure that within setting up an establishment process, they can access the records in a very efficient and proficient way, and also expedite them in a very reasonable period of time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ford. I'm going to repeat that part of the question. What would you do, and this is going to go to Mrs. Lopez now, what would you do as city clerk to assure the public that the required documents are produced in a time frame required either by law or by contract?
Okay, I would definitely say that due to the Public Records Act, that the city clerk and the city needs to provide, get back to the community or persons within 10 days for any records. I would ensure that if it's a particular department or the fourth floor, whoever we need to get to make sure that they are following up on the questions or the records that are asked, and make sure that all the records are accessible to the community at any given time, and that my department will have great customer service, and we're all working as a team. Currently, there are 2 full-time and 1 part-time person working in the city clerk's office with a minimal budget, and so you need to be resourceful, but making sure that everyone's working together to adhere to California state codes and getting the records produced in a timely manner.
Mr. Patino.
What would I do as city clerk to assure the public that the required documents are produced in a time frame required either by law or by contract? Well, I would have to definitely familiarize myself with the requirements and the contractual requirements of these documents. I have experience in doing that, so, as it said. A lot of things are going through my mind right now as I'm getting ready to answer this question. To assure the public, that's the key word right there. I want to make sure that you guys have access to these documents, and I will abide by the rules and the regulations to get you that information. You're definitely going to receive that information. You're entitled to it. But we just got to make sure that all the rules and regulations are being followed. And we're going to have to stick by those statutes until we're able to provide that. We're not sure exactly in regards to the quarterly financial statements that are there. We're not sure exactly what information is on there to a certain extent, so I have to familiarize myself with that information. But once I do, that information will be provided to you guys.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you. I believe in doing the public good. So that means giving the public the information that they request. This is a full-time salary job. So if that means staying late, that's what you need to do. If you need to skip your open Friday and come in to work on that every other Friday, then that's what needs to be done. I know a lot of staff members have to put in extra time to meet their deadlines, to meet the pressure that City Hall is under. Sometimes they have to come in on the weekends. So it's definitely putting the time in, prioritizing your workload with your team, and asking for help when you need it. But number one is if there's a public information request, then let's work together to give the public that, so there's no suspicion that we're doing things like we used to, because this is about moving Oxnard forward into the next level. Thank you.
Mrs. Ascension.
When I was in the city of Port Hueneme as city clerk, I was part of the executive team that participated in the planning of each upcoming agenda packet that we were preparing to put before the council. The staff report is only one part of any item that's put before the council. There's attachments, sometimes there are contracts, sometimes there are budgets, reports, studies, and you have to, depending on the type of action that you're requesting from the council, you have to fulfill certain requirements. So perhaps it might be a public hearing where you're going to have to notify the public 10 days prior to the action being taken. That may be in the form of mailings, that may be in the form of posting in the newspaper, posting it on the website, posting a physical copy in places that are mandated by the municipal code. And I would think, too, just like I said before, utilizing the website. Again, when I was in Port Hueneme, people had the ability to subscribe to certain pages of the website. And as they were updated, it would automatically notify them that there was new information on this page. I would hope that we could do that. I see Oxnard has a very nice-looking, spiffy new website. I would hope that we'd be able to do something like that with the City of Oxnard's website, so that people can be notified with the information that they want.
Thank you. And it is a spiffy new website. I like it.
I took this question to mean that this was regarding the public requesting documents, the financial documents from the city. That's how I'm approaching this, as it's not a question of the Brown Act and agendas. Now, the Public Records Act, this is the law, it says that access to information concerning, and I quote, the people's business is a fundamental right. So what that means is that all documents are presumed to be public in City Hall unless there's a reason for them not to be. That is actually how the law has been interpreted. So when we talk about financial documents produced, obviously the clerk's office is not going to have the financial financial records sitting there with them. They're going to have to go to the department where those records are being held, and they're going to have to tell that department head, listen, we have to have these records provided promptly. We have to have copies provided within 10 days, according to the law, the Public Records Act. I think it's very possible that the department head won't like being asked to do this. They may say, well, I don't really want the people to see this. It might be hard work for us to put this together. And I think that the clerk, may very well want to be conciliatory to a coworker and try to brush the public off. And I just want to say that that is not how I view this at all. I believe that my job would be to, instruct, educate, politely educate the department heads as to what the law is and be sure that those financial documents are produced within the time necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Paniagua.
I would say that quarterly statements or any other statement are presented first to City Council, so you will see it in the agenda packet, and it would be made public as soon as the meeting is over. The next day, those documents are all public once they're presented to Council, but they are presented to Council first. Those documents are not generated by the City Clerk's office. They're actually generated by another department. So you would actually have to work with them to make sure that they're meeting the time frames. But once it is executed, it can be made public the following day.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause for answering question number 2. Question number 3, we're going to do ladies first, and then we'll go with the gentlemen. And then for question number 4, we will do gentlemen first, and then with the ladies. And so question number 3, as elections official, the city clerk administers federal, state, and local procedures through which local government representatives are selected. How would you more effectively administer these duties, especially the registration of new voters? Starting off with Mrs. Paniagua.
Well, as far as the registration of voters, you would have to get out to the community to get that done. But we actually contract our election duties with the county. So we're not responsible for these duties. It's actually the county that we contract with. It would be too costly for us to do it on our own. So I would just keep it that way. I would not take those duties on. But as far as the registration of new voters, you would have to get out to the community. We do have a voters committee in the city manager's office. So basically, you'd have to just get that information out and try to get out there to the community.
Thank you, Mrs. Paniagua. Mrs. Ascension.
So the legwork of elections every other year is done by the County of Ventura. The cities contract with the county. They do the printing, they do the noticing, and the city clerk is the one who acts as the local contact for the intermediary between the candidates and the county and what they need to conduct the election. So, excuse me, just continuing to establish a good relationship with the County of Ventura. I did this in Port Hueneme. Excuse me, I'm all choked up tonight. And they have very good communication with the city clerks as the local contacts to be able to conduct the elections every other year. As far as outreach to new voters, again, using that website, it's an underutilized tool that really could be better utilized to get more information out to people. And then working with community groups and enlisting their help in finding new voters and getting everyone registered. When we were at the Multicultural Festival last Saturday, I saw a black fraternity that was out there doing a voter registration drive. And we should have every booth out there, I think, with voter registration cards to be able to get everyone registered to vote.
Thank you, Mrs. Ascension. Ms. Lopez.
Thank you for whoever made this question up. It's very important. It often gets overlooked when people only talk about what the administrative duties of the city clerk is. The city clerk manages all the local elections. I have been an elections official since I was 17 years old, not even able to vote at 18. And this is very important to me, the civic engagement and registering new voters. The city clerk currently created the Get Out the Vote committee under his office to keep the community informed, and to register voters, let them know when you can sign up to be an absentee voter, where to register. The city clerk's website should definitely have a link on how do I apply, where can I do it. The DMV, the city clerk's office, the local libraries. We need to let the community know how to get involved. Have it in different languages. Work with the Inter-Neighborhood Council Agency and community action groups, which are CAGs. I'm a part of the Community Relations Commission. We have people come out and speak about how to get involved and how to sign up to vote. And also, I was at the Multicultural Festival. I've chaired that event for many years, and I had a booth and I registered about 20 new voters, and it's very important that we keep that in mind about civic engagement. People want to get involved. We're one of the biggest cities in the county, yet the lowest voter turnout, and that's exactly what this question is about.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. I must say I'm old-handed at this. I'm from the deep south. We have graveyard voting. But what I would certainly encourage is town hall meetings. I love town hall meetings because I love to go in and talk and tell them about certainly about voting and the importance of getting people registered to vote, because that's very important. Have public notices in the newspaper you can do. There's certain times in the newspaper you can do it for free, so you always look for free. You can have at the library, meetings at the library. I love to go to the library and pull out books. I'm always charging me for late stuff. So to get to the library and have information at the library, and you can have meetings at the library, and those free. Churches, I get them to churches because I do a lot of speaking at churches, and also social service clubs like the Kiwanis and the other kinds of clubs like that. Get to those clubs and talk about voting and getting to register to vote. Community groups, which is very important, getting around to community votes, what we all do here, and getting around to community, getting around to people to talk and speak about voting, how important it is. But also carry those, what I do is carry some of those voting registration forms in my car, and when I meet, especially the young people I work with, a lot of young 18-year-olds not registered to vote, I give them that form, tell them, hey, fill it out, and of course I encourage them to drop it in the mail or drop it off at the government center and where they can be registered to vote. But I remember years ago when my sisters when they turned 18 years old, first thing I did, got them registered to vote.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Awesome, Mr. Ford.
Mr. Patino.
Hi, guys. I've been on social media for quite some time. Anybody have a Facebook or Twitter? I've met a couple people here from Facebook and Twitter and stuff. I love social media. I utilize social media for various different things, including a lot of community activism. And I believe that as your city clerk, I would definitely have to share with you all the federal, state, and local laws. I believe that everybody should be an informed citizen. You should all familiarize yourself with all that information. Another thing would be to definitely encourage everybody with positivity and enthusiasm. Encourage you all to register to vote. Encourage all your friends and family to register to vote. There's nothing more powerful than the word of mouth. I don't really put up too many signs. I don't put up too much information to a certain extent, but I believe in the dissemination of information. You have to put out there everything, every avenue that you possibly can. Newspaper, website, social media, wherever you can, put your hand up, say, hey, look at me. I believe as city clerk, it is my duty to be the voice to bridge the gap between local government and the citizens. So I'm here to do that. I want to make sure that you get all the information. That's exactly how I would administer these duties, and I would definitely encourage everybody to register. If you haven't registered already, register. You got to go out there and share that information with your friends and do it positively. Thank you.
Mr. Rivera.
Every election cycle, the city clerk gives a report to the city council and to the community right before the election. They give a pretty thorough one, so it definitely starts there. What's really important to know is that people don't always get excited about voting unless it's somebody that they really get behind, and I saw that earlier this year when people were rallying around Bernie Sanders. So when you get people excited about voting, then you're going to see a higher participation rate. But if I was city clerk, I would definitely, when I'm giving that report, I would also give a status of where we're at with registered voters in the community. I believe we're around 70,000 registered voters. That number is honestly very low. But you can use social media for the greater good. Have you all noticed how other political candidates are doing that really effectively? So they're connecting with people on the go, their mobile devices, and that's a step forward. We also have a public access channel that is sitting dark. It's been dark for a long time. We could easily have our own production house where we're getting the message out with our own city-controlled channel. News Corporation was started with one newspaper in Australia, and we have one cable channel. We're not even... and also, if you need to register to vote, you could go to my website, which is alexforcityclerk.com. You can follow the link there. You could check your status in the county. You could register, vote by mail with the Secretary of State. Thank you.
Thank you. Hashtag you good. Plug in your website there. Go ahead. Mr. De Domenico.
Hi, this is I'm following 6 people who've answered this question, so it's a little tough act to follow here. I've heard a lot of really good ideas, and I agree with them, like they said. One thing I would like to add is that it would be nice if the clerk's office reached out rather than expecting people to reach in. Having the clerk's office speak to the public and tell the public what's new at the clerk's office, what's been happening at the clerk's office, will bring what's going on and Oxnard's history and its records to the public. And in doing so, we can encourage people to register to vote as part of every conversation. I suppose another idea might be, and I'm just thinking of this right now. Maybe providing a certain kind of quota of saying, we want to have a goal to meet of this many new voters that the clerk's office is going to sign up every year, and see if we can meet it. See if we can maybe even give prizes to people who assist us. I'm just brainstorming right now, but it's obviously extremely important that we get new voters registered in Oxnard. Thank you.
Thank you. A round of applause for them answering question number 3. And I just personally want to applaud you once again. I know that none of you guys had these questions beforehand. I appreciate the fact that you know that you're thinking about it. Some of you are thinking things off the top of your head. You're sharing them, expressing with us. I appreciate that as a young individual. And then also, if someone's already been redundant with something, please feel free. I went to the mayoral debate last week, and those guys were like the best of friends up there, man. If somebody says something you already appreciate or you agree with, please feel free to, then we can save some time for some extra questions that we have here. So going on to question number 4, we will start with the men, and since Mr. De Domenico struggled with following 6 people, we will start with you first, sir. I'm sorry, that was not, I did not mean to be.
No, I thanks. Go ahead. Has the question been read?
No, it hasn't.
I'm reading it myself.
See, there you go, see? Here we go. So the question is, as a records manager, the city clerk oversees yet another legislative process, the preservation and protection of the public record. There are software programs to expedite the preservation and presentation of public records, but it costs money to the city. It costs money the city manager may not be willing to give the city clerk. What is your workaround to this problem?
Well, I think that a number of solutions to getting documents preserved either digitally or otherwise and presenting them to the public is not especially costly. I had an Epson printer that I bought in 2012 for $135, and I scanned almost 20,000 documents on that in my own home. As part of my work and as part of my digital library I have. It's not expensive to do that. That said, if there was something that was particularly expensive that was very important that we decided that we couldn't afford, grants can be found. There are federal grants, there are state grants, there are private grants that I'm sure would be very, very pleased to give Oxnard the chance to get its rich, rich history digitized and available to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
Well, the first thing I would like to do is I want to identify the cost. I want to find out exactly how much it's going to cost to get what we think is the best implementation plan. And I would go try to find the money. I'm not great at asking for money for my campaign, but I'm going to try to learn how to do that a little better with the next few weeks. But I really believe that if you can get this cost, say if it costs $50,000 and we can find 1 or 2 companies and name those, do like a naming rights and just try to find out if that's even an option. So that's definitely what I want to do. Find the costs, find out where we're going to get them. Maybe grants are not always a possibility, but there's a lot of successful companies and businesses in Oxnard that do want to leave a legacy here. They want to leave their name on something, and so we want to give them something that's going to last for a long time. So thank you.
Mr. Patino.
We're all a team, and I agree with the team here. The first initial thing that I would like to do is I'd take it out of my own pocket and buy it myself. That's the first thought that would come to mind. But there are other avenues as well. Like my counterpart said over here, you can go for grants, you can go for different avenues on obtaining this information. I would see what we're working with right now. You know, maybe it's not so bad. Someone earlier said that that there's lack of training. Maybe lack of staff. So we'd have to see what's going on with the root of the problem, make an assessment of the current program, what's going on, and see what we can do with it. And in the time being, continue to be hopeful, be enthusiastic, find avenues to generate a plan to get that new software in, and let's make it happen. Let's see here. The preservation, presentation of public records costs money. The city manager may not be willing to give the city clerk. When is the city manager ever willing to give the... Right now we're having a lot of financial issues, all right? The city manager's not going to want to break some money right now for some new software possibly. That's a realistic point of view to look at it that way. So I have seen some wonderful things come out of this community. I have, through social media, I have done so many fundraising events for so many different people, and I have seen everybody come together when there's a time of need to bring those funds in. Now, if the city were to need these funds, I have no doubt that our people can do it. Would I request that from them? Maybe, maybe not. It all depends on the situation and how it's unfolding. But we got to take it step by step. I'm ready to do whatever they want. This is not a problem. This is just something that we can utilize to make a better solution.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
I think the first thing I would do is I would contact Donald Trump and put him in charge of raising funds for us. Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking, of course, there's a lot of state agencies you can receive money from. The state of California have an agency that provide monies to help in terms of restoring and keeping and retaining records. And also the Federal Bureau of Records, United States Government Federal Bureau of Records, they provide money to states and municipalities for helping in terms of recording and keeping records, and especially legal records and everything. And also, as I said, again, I would look at various grants, federal government grants, in terms of attempting to retain records. But I don't think that I probably could not afford it out of my own pocket. But yeah, really. But that was okay though. That was okay. That was very humanitarian. But yeah. But as I say again, I would look at the state of California. Thank you. That's what I said. Look at the state of California and the Federal Bureau of Records and obtain them from there. And look at also. I think one of my friends here mentioned colleagues mentioned grants, and I look at that too, in terms of securing monies. But there are other alternatives beside internal. You can look at external and obtain funds to do that. Thank you.
Ms. Lopez.
Thank you. We've all talked about the budget issues of the city of Oxnard. You know, Camarillo, our neighbor, we are the quadruple the size of Camarillo, yet we have our city clerk's budget is slightly over theirs. The three main important things to work around this problem one would be collaborative. I would work with the City Clerks Association through California, which I've already been in contact with, and I have colleagues that are currently city clerks that I've already met with to think about ideas to go around this problem. And also the California League of Cities, I would work with them, anyone in the community, other departments. It would really be about being collaborative about how we would get past this and being innovative. We could possibly charge to expedite certain records if people want it faster, and to be resourceful. I have been a grant writer through numerous nonprofits that I've worked for. I've written grants, I know how to do it, and those three things are really important: to be collaborative, innovative, and resourceful. Those are my strengths. That is my platform that I'm working on throughout my campaign. So I think that those would be the best way to get around this problem.
Thank you. Mrs. Ascension.
Well, believe it or not, this problem isn't unique to Oxnard. There are a number of cities that struggle with getting their records management system under control. We had the same problem in Port Hueneme. Unfortunately, when it comes to budget dollars, records are often at the bottom of the list, behind public safety, crumbling infrastructure, and rising pension costs and other monetary challenges. So what I did is I broke it down into manageable steps. I created a capital improvement project, which was a multi-year undertaking. And in the first year, what I requested was, I don't recall the exact dollar amount, but it was to update our retention schedule and to do an assessment of the current status of our records. And then in the following year, purchasing a system for moving purchasing the system so that we could use it from present day forward. And then once that became a well-oiled machine, after a year of getting that, having that undertaking, then in the third year of the process, looking back at historical records and deciding which ones of those that we were going to include in the electronic system. Starting first with permanent records, and then going back to long-term retention records. And it's a huge undertaking. It's very expensive, and you may need to get an a consultant or temporary assistance for it.
Thank you. Mrs. Paniagua.
If you can't get the funding for the project, one of the things you can do is you can charge the other departments. It's called internal service charges. And if there are documents that belong to the entire city, you can try something like that. We do that with maintenance and other internal services. But what we've done at the police department is basically outsource the project. It's a lot cheaper. You don't have to invest in the equipment. It's a lot more efficient because you send it out, somebody else does it, they give it back to you. That's probably the first thing that I would look at is outsource the project.
Thank you. Let's give him a round of applause for answering that question. All right, and this is the last question that we actually have that's been pre-selected. I will be moving after that to two other questions that we've been suggested. Actually, there was numerous ones, but some of them have been answered already through your guys' information. You guys are doing an amazing job. Here we go. In your opinion, what is the first thing you will change in the city clerk's office once you are elected? What is the first thing you will change in the city clerk's office once you are elected? We will start off with Mrs. Ascension.
So again, in Port Hueneme, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I came from a city where customer service was top priority. And not to say that it's not top priority in the city of Oxnard, but Port Hueneme had a really unique relationship with the city staff and the residents, and I would make that the top priority in the city of Oxnard. And that's kind of a broad category where a lot of things can fall under it. But it's being responsive, helpful, and friendly. Imagine that from a city, so that
the city that cares.
The city that cares, so that perhaps by diffusing some of the contention beforehand, by establishing that relationship, by letting the public know that you're here to work for them, and not being so resistant in some areas, it can kind of help, break down some walls, and we start working together rather than working against each other and, challenging each other on everything. I know that there's some people that have had some issues with how the city clerk's office has been run. I can tell you in Hueneme, I had a very good relationship with my residents, and I plan to help infuse that into the culture in Oxnard.
Thank you. There are no issues with city clerks here in the city of Oxnard. That has never taken place. Mr. Rivera.
Well, there's two things that I would do. The first one, I would bring a digital signage program to the council chambers. The council chambers is sadly outdated. It's brown. It doesn't look attractive from home when you're watching the council meetings or when you're watching online. It definitely needs to be updated. And a digital signage program would be so effective because, again, it goes back to the visual interaction with people. They could see motions. They could see the votes. There's even audience response systems that, if the Secretary of State would allow it, ballot, you could be able to give your response. The board and the council could give their response. It could be automatically tabulated. I'd put a digital kiosk on the first floor of City Hall because they moved the clerk's office from one side of the street to the other, and they put the city attorneys there. And so that all you're saying is that we're moving the public access out of the way, and we welcome lawsuits versus access to public information. And if I was on the fourth floor, I'd be on the first floor. I'd put a kiosk at the first floor. I mean, honestly, I'd rather be in a tent on Oxnard Boulevard so people could be able to reach with a sign so people could get the information that they want. But I will put, right as you walk into the city manager's building, I'll put a workstation right there, lock it up at the end of the day, and go up to my office when I need to. But that way, make it easier for the public to get the information that they're requesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Paniagua.
I think the first thing that I would do if I was the city clerk is update the retention schedule. It is very out of date. I don't think it's been updated for a good 6 years. And it should be updated frequently. The industry standard is to update it every 2 years. It is the foundation. You need to know what records you have, what records you don't have. You have to determine the life cycle of each document from creation to destruction. So it's important to have that foundation in place.
Thank you. Mr. De Domenico.
Yeah. You know, I really want to increase transparency with the public, and I really, really think that there's a lot more we can do online that will not be expensive. This would be the very first thing I would start pushing towards. Obviously, public relations is extremely important, but I think allowing people to be able to see what we have rather than having to email the clerk as you do right now and wait 2 or 3 days and hope that the clerk gets back to you, to be able to know exactly what's being held by the clerk's office and to be able to request it specifically online, I think in a much more, in a form, in a more efficient way. This would be a very, very high priority for me. I think that is an example of transparency.
Ms. Lopez.
The first thing that I would do when I'm city clerk is to make the office accessible. For the past, I don't know, since Daniel was in it 23 years, before that Mobby Plisky, the city clerk's office was located in City Hall. Most recently, it's been moved up to the 4th floor. That is an issue with some people. I've spoken to many residents. It is a conflict of interest. They're up there right with the elected officials that are running for office. It's not confidential. You have to go through a screen, a glass door to go in. The main purpose of a city clerk's office is to be accessible to the public. Your customer service, it needs to be on par. You report to the people. First and foremost, you report to the people. There's people that have disabilities that's hard for them to get up to the 4th floor. I know that there was issues regarding the budget. I understand that was the reasoning why it got moved up there. But we can be resourceful and see how we can get the city clerk's office more accessible to the community and back where it needs to be. I do believe working with other departments and working with the community, working with the media. I have a true proven record working with others, and that's what this job needs, is someone that can be out there in the community, be accessible to residents and also to other departments to get the job done.
Mr. Patino.
Keeping the doors open and open all the lines of communication as much as possible. Definitely communicate back and forth. Talk to each and every one of you. Make sure that you guys are getting all the information that you need. The one thing that needs to change in that office is definitely that. There needs to be more communication, open communication, and encouragement to be positive. I would definitely boost the morale of that office. Have to get people to get into that mindset, that positive mental attitude. You have to bring in and foster in that spirit of enthusiasm and great customer service. People want that. They want to know and they want to feel that they're cared for. I care. I love you guys. And that's what I have to put out there. Now that might sound, oh, love, but I do. I love you guys. I've been working with the whole community of Oxnard. I got 43,000 followers on Facebook. All of Oxnard knows me. I'm running around. I've changed tires. I've done this. I've done that. Put out that information. Talk to people. Welcome them to the office. Come hang out with us. See what we're up to today. Hey, I know some people might laugh, be like, that doesn't sound so realistic. It is. It's all possible. Everything is possible. We can make it happen together.
Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. First thing I would do, of course, hit the floor running, and I would be sure that my office and the council adhere to the California Public Reporting Act. That is, no secrecy, because we all know that we have had a history in the city of Oxnard of corruption. So what I would do is be sure that all records are accessible and that are accessible to the public, and especially records on council meetings. When the council have secret meetings, they do have public meetings, they have secret meetings, and those secret meetings is where they obtain the money. That's where the money flows. So be sure that all those records under the statute, all those records are accessible. They have to let the public access those records. So access to all records, public and secret, be seeing that all the public can have those records very quickly, efficiently, and also maintain transparency. I'm really into that thing about transparency and freedom of being able to access information, and especially information on managers' salaries and other kinds of perks, other things that the people should have access to and be able to get those things.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you.
All right, give him a round of applause for answering that last of our pre-selected questions. You guys still with me? All right, come on now. We're almost there. So we have a couple of questions here that we have selected. Some of them were with regards to the website. The website has been updated. Some of you have asked how they're going to pay for the digital format and the transfer. Some of them have made many references to that. So we're going to go ahead and skip over those questions. We're going to go ahead and just make this really simple. We don't need you to go ahead and to drag it on. If you don't got to drag it on, you can make it 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and there's two questions that I'm going to be asking here. We're going to start off with Mr. Ford. So one of the duties of the clerk is to produce minutes of the city council meetings. What information should or should not be in the minutes? Are there any particular changes you would make in the content of the city council minutes? This sounds like a trick question. I'm going to repeat that once again.
Thank you.
One of the duties of the clerk is to produce minutes of the city council meetings. What information should or should not be in the minutes? Are there any particular changes you would make in the content of the city council minutes? Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. I probably would not make any changes unless the councilman says something ugly about his pet or his wife. But so all the records I would make available to the public, unless there's some ugly language in it.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Lopez.
I definitely make sure that we adhere to the Brown Act and the Public Records Act. What's currently on there is public comments, what's on the agenda, what's on topic for that day. But also, I think the community would like to know is how the city council members voted, how they stand on particular issues. It's very important. You know, many people not very many people attend the meetings unless it's a very big issue on the agenda, but many of them watch it. The agendas are posted on the website. I would like to have it on social media, and the community needs to know how the city officials vote on important topics. That's how the community can get engaged, and that's something that I would feel is important.
Thank you. Mr. Patino.
Spent many times in meetings with admirals and captains and taking minutes and listening to everything they have to say, all the rules and regulations and their ideas and the things that they talked about and who walked in and who walked out, and we jotted it what time and who did what. So definitely it's important to put out the information to others, especially all the other department heads, all the community, let everybody know, ding, 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 hey, this is what's going on, this is what council so-and-so did, this is what the mayor decided to do, this is the little rift in the plan, or this is what they're scared about, or this is what they are worried about, or this is what they don't want you to know. Guess what? Here it is. So definitely got to put that information out there, and most definitely follow all the rules and guidelines and regulations. That's something that I'm familiar with, and we'll definitely make it happen for you guys.
Mr. Rivera.
What I would do, I would add more meat to the meetings and add more detail. I'm a part of another board, and even the minutes there are very thin. So you could add a whole lot of detail. There's actually software that you can also look at that can help you compile all that spoken word. And I actually love to watch the meetings. I love our local government, so it would be a real joy for me to compile, go back through there, build upon what the software was able to capture, and then you add on the rest and make those meatier minutes with more detail, so there's more information in the record. And for those that didn't have a chance to be there or watch the meeting, they could at least read. Some people still like to do that, so that would definitely more meat to the meetings of the meeting minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ascension.
Minutes are intended to be the record of the legislative actions that the council or the other governmental body takes. Different cities choose different formats for their minutes. Some choose action, which is just, it has the title and the recommended action of the agenda item, and then it lists the motions that are suggested and the vote. That's what we did in Port Hueneme. Some cities take it a step further and they do summary minutes where they compile just the bullets of what's of the topics of discussion. That's what we do at the Ventura Regional Sanitation District. And then there are some cities, believe it or not, that actually still do verbatim minutes. Not a whole lot of cities. There's maybe just a handful throughout the state. But verbatim minutes, I really feel for those clerks because those are no fun to compile. I don't see any problem with changing the format of the minutes that we have so far. I think that, the city of Oxnard utilizes the summary type minutes, and I don't see any problem with changing that. I think that they're useful, they're effective. If people want to know even more information, they can go to the Granicus website and click on those agenda links. It jumps right to where that discussion takes place in the meeting, so you're not sitting through 6 hours of discussion. But if you want to know, okay, let me find out the details of just what was discussed here, click on it, it takes you right to it, and then you can hear it if you're not satisfied with the few sentences that are provided in the minutes.
Thank you. Mr. De Domenico.
I could sit here and tell you about criticisms I've heard of the clerk's office and what I'm going to do to improve it. I haven't heard criticism of the minutes of the clerk's office. They're actually fairly thorough, and they are more impressive in Oxnard than you actually see in courthouse minutes. If anybody of you has ever gone to the Ventura Superior Court and asked for a minute order from a hearing that you just had, you're often disappointed by how little information is on there. So I'm not going to sit here and say, we really need to improve on what's happening in terms of the minutes and the recording of our city council meetings. What's nice as well is that these meetings are being televised and being recorded, and there's a Spanish simulcast. So on top of the minutes, if there's information that needs to be seen, you should be able to go and see that on the website. I think that you can, for the city council, see past hearings, and I certainly would, make sure that that was a continued practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Paniagua.
The minutes should actually reflect a summary of what actually occurred at the council meeting. Any actions that took place should be on there. Any compliance with laws as to postings to comply with the law. There should also be, what also should be in the minutes are mailings and publications for public hearings. If you're having a public hearing, you have to have those mailings and postings, so that should be on the record. You should also have any motions or voting that took place, and they should also, the final copy should also be timely. I think the industry standard is 2 weeks from that meeting, so I would also make sure that they were timely.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause for answering that question from the audience. I appreciate this question because a lot of times we always hear about your strengths. We always hear about what you guys can do. The next question has to do with the city clerk will need assistance to fulfill the duties of the position. What qualities will you seek in your assistance that will complement your strengths or help in your weaknesses? I'll repeat that question again. The city clerk will need assistance to fulfill the duties of the position. What qualities will you seek in your assistance to complement your strengths or also your weaknesses? We will start off with Mrs. Paniagua.
To complement my strengths, I think that I'm a very organized person, so I think I would want another organized person. I think I'd want somebody that could also multitask. We do a lot in the police department, so in the city clerk's office, they are a very small office, so you're going to have to be able to multitask. Compliment my weaknesses. I guess they can go to forums for me. I don't know. I'm not sure about the weakness.
All right, then. I respect that. Mr. Domenico.
I don't know how much experience people have with dealing with records clerks, say, at the courthouses that I've been bringing up a lot, or in other settings where the clerk is really not there to assist, but feels that his or her job is to hinder, or looks annoyed when you ask them to basically perform a task that is really in their job description. To me, the most important thing I would look for in people I worked with, if I had hiring ability, would be a real interest in actually serving the public and doing the job rather than going through the motions and collecting a paycheck. So it would be a real love for the job itself, a love for records, a love for helping the public, and that pleasure that you get when somebody comes to you and asks you for something and has a problem, and you solve that problem for them, and they walk away happy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ascension.
Well, one of the qualities I would look for in an assistant that I'm looking to hire would be somebody who shares my customer service ethic, someone who's helpful and looking to be a conduit rather than a barrier for the public. As far as weaknesses, I'm perfect, come on. No, but I think that the city clerk has the duty of helping their staff to improve their skills. And if the city clerk is always doing everything, then the staff members don't always get a chance to do other things. So it's cross-training, it's job sharing. The city clerk always clerks the council meetings. Why not have the assistant do one meeting a month? Not because you're trying to get out of it, but because you want them to develop and grow and add to their skills as well.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
I would look for somebody that has a knowledge and understanding of Oxnard and the community. I do not believe this would be my decision. I believe this would be the city manager's decision on who they want to hire for that that assistant role. I would hope that he would wait until after the election to make the decision. I would take the top 2 finishers, 1, 2. There's some amazing people here, so I would put 2 people that are on this panel right now in that office. Thank you.
That's a sweet answer, bro. Wow. Mr. Patino.
I can think of so many words that run through my mind, like honor, courage, commitment, definitely honesty, integrity, all those wonderful words like love, joy, peace, goodness, gentleness, meekness, temperance, long-suffering. Oh my goodness, I could just think of them all. None of us are perfect, but we could be made complete. And I definitely looked for those people that have talents and are creative in mind and inspiring and motivational, because those are the ones that are definitely going to put in the passion. And the passion is what produces energy. And energy, oh my goodness, once you get it, you get going. And I got to tell you, in all seriousness, professionalism is very important. Time management, organization, all that stuff is good. And we look for every single one. The best things out of life is what I want to look for. And the people that have a dream to make things happen. Every single position is a temporary position. We move forward, we keep moving up, and we help those that surround us to level up every single time. And we're going to, because that's what we do. We're awesome, right? Okay, so when I look at all these people that are coming in, that are going to be working with me, whether they're there or already, or they're going to be coming in, I'm going to be just excited to have them there, because diversity and differences of opinions and all kinds of things all come together for good when we all put our main focus on the city clerk position and on the job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lopez.
I really appreciate this question. Currently, the city of Oxnard has 3 staff members, like I mentioned earlier, a city clerk, a deputy city clerk, and a part-time assistant. The deputy city clerk will be transferring to another department fairly soon, so there will be an open position. And most city clerk elected officials do not have a certified municipal court certificate. Obviously, I don't have one. I will get one. Takes about 2 years to get that certification. I'm going to work tirelessly to get that. But I would have my assistant already have that certification. It's really important to have that education. I know my community. I'm very well. I'm born and raised here. I am very confident. I work well with others. I'm very resourceful, and I partner well with others. However, it's very important to have also, I believe, your counterpart to have, if somebody's new coming in, to have that CMC certification. And also, nobody knows it all. We all have to have professional development, learn and grow. Whether you've been in the position for 40 years or you're just starting off, there's always room to grow and do professional development. So I would definitely have them counterpart with my strengths. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ford.
Oh, thank you very much. The characteristics I would look for, I would look for characteristics of being detailed, disciplined, adhere to the law, which is very important, because I come from a academic environment, so a very detailed environment. I've done academic research, so having a detailed person, and that requires discipline, adhere to the law, which is very important. The statutes are very important. An organized individual, and because being organized with me is kind of like a religion. Being able to maintain records, to keep records, a person capable of keeping good records. Time is important, very important. Being timely and also efficient. Good customer service. I like good customer service because I like to talk and like to tell jokes. So good customer service. I love people who have good customer. I like people around me are happy. So yeah. So I tend to look for those kind of individuals. So good customer service skills are very important. Adhere to timelines, objectives. A person that can able to meet goals and timetables. And that's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Let's give him a round of applause for that final question. All right, so you have up to 1.5 minutes. Please feel free not to take it if you don't want it. And if you want it, up until 1 minute and 30, I will say thank you. So here we go. 1 minute and 30 seconds closing of why we should vote you as the next city clerk of the city of Oxnard. Mr. Ford.
Thank you very much. Why you should vote for me is I believe over 30, 40 years I've had the experience. I worked in government in various levels. I worked for political candidates. I worked for the Clintons when he was in office, and as the governor of the state of Arkansas. I have my advanced degrees in public administration and psychology. And as I said again, I've worked in the county of Los Angeles where I had to retain records, and in the state of Arkansas I had to retain records in terms of children's health. So you had to be very meticulous in providing records and providing those records to medical providers. So I've done that. But why you should vote for me too is, number one, in terms of my candidate statement, I believe what I would do is I would support water rate freeze. I would support a water rate freeze, and also what the people do not know is for the city of Oxnard, for water increases, that you have a right to due process hearings. I provide that information to people. So, and transparency and adhering to the California statute. That's why you should vote for me. And I hope that come November the 8th, you go in there and you pull that curtain back and you vote for me. I really appreciate it. Thank you, folks. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Ms. Lopez.
Thank you. Over this election, I've heard a lot of candidates say, I wasn't sure if I was going to run. People asked me to run. I wasn't sure if I should do it. There's never been a question in my mind or heart that serving Oxnard was in my future. And it is a part of my legacy. I've already been doing it. I hope to serve in a new capacity. The people of Oxnard are a family to me. I want to do everything in my power to grow their trust and bring renewed accountability to the city clerk's office. Born and raised here, like I said. I'm very involved in the community. I hope to get others involved in the community as well. It is our responsibility in government to encourage engagement. We have over 200,000 people in Oxnard. While I appreciate all of you for being here, we need to engage those that in the community that are not involved. I really applaud all the people who put this panel together, and also Citizens Journal for being very positive. We want to disseminate the information out to the community. I wanted to thank everyone up on this panel. It's not easy to run for public office. It's my first time doing it. I'm very proud to say that myself and my campaign have ran a positive campaign. I think that that's what's most important. And I hope that you vote for me on November 8th. If you want to read more about me, it's www.lopezforclerk.com.
Thank you. Mr. Patino, 1 minute and 30 seconds.
My name is Brian Patino, and I want to thank you for voting for me on November 8th as your city clerk. I'll do my very best to bring all that information out to the table for you guys to see on a daily basis. I will work diligently to be a good legislative administration man for you guys. I will definitely protect and preserve the records that are there in place, and I will learn all the rules and regulations, federal, state, and local laws, and I will inform you of that information as well so you can be an informed people, a strong people, a united people here. And we definitely have to put Oxnard on the map. It's such a beautiful place to live. We definitely have to do that, and we can't do that without you. We all need your help. We all have to work together in unity as one. And I look forward to becoming that, to bridging that gap for you guys, to go to those council meetings and bring out that information, let you guys know what's going on, and vice versa. If there's something that you guys need, to let those individuals know, I'll be there. Just let me know. My phone number is 805-490-9165. Call me up. But seriously, guys, I really, really look forward for this position, and I know that you guys want someone very good, well qualified, and skilled. I am those things, and I'll be ready to work for you guys. I'm a machine. I'll make it happen. Thank you. Vote Brian Patino.
Thank you. Mr. Rivera.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. In 1776, John Adams wrote, "There must be a positive passion for the public good, the public interest, and this public passion must be superior to all private passions." That hasn't always been the case in City Hall. We need that balance. There's a lot of noise coming from the 4th floor, and others have actually gone to that floor and have never been seen from again. That's why I want to be on the 1st floor. Right there, as soon as you walk in. But I can work with the council and the city manager. I love our organization, and I will be valuable to you. I've learned that Oxnard's true strength is in our population. We are better than they say that we are, but all we hear is no. We need to hear the power of yes. Yes to a new season of change. And I'm that forerunner connected to people and businesses. Let me be your government point of contact. I'll bring a new energy to improve our older processes, and I'll try new methods like online requests, e-help desk, digital signage for the council chambers. Vote for your people's clerk, your information gatekeeper, Alex Rivera. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Ascension.
Well, I'm grateful for this opportunity tonight to talk to you about my experience. Anyone who's worked with me can tell you that I specialize in the ABCs, analyzing dysfunctional situations, building a manageable plan of action with sustainable solutions, and creating relationships that turn adversaries into allies. I believe I can make a difference for the city of Oxnard. I urge my fellow Oxnard residents to vote for proven experience, knowledge, and integrity for their next city clerk. And I'll give you 5 good reasons to elect me for city clerk, and they all happen to start with the letters of clerk, C-L-E-R-K. If you've seen my flyer, you know this. C is for certified since 2009. I'm actually quite close to becoming a master municipal clerk. Local for over 30 years. E is for experienced as the city clerk at Port Hueneme, as well as the clerk of the board for Ventura Regional Sanitation District. Respected, I've been endorsed by dozens of local leaders and other city clerks that I know all across the state. I've also been endorsed by the Tri-County Central Labor Council and the Port Hueneme Police Officers Association. And finally, the K is for knowledgeable. There's no learning curve required here. I can hit the ground running from day one. So remember, Michelle Ascension, number 3 on the ballot, number 1 in experience. I would appreciate your consideration this November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. De Domenico.
We can view this job as a job of tasks, and we can look and say, have the other candidates performed these tasks before? Will they come in and do that? And we can view the job narrowly that way. But if it were that simple, we could just post our resumes and all go home, and you guys could vote according to that. We're having this hearing right now, this forum, so you can learn about what ideas we have for the city clerk's office. I want to bring, as an attorney, I want to bring legal acumen and professionalism to the office that I think would really, really help City Hall and really, really give people much more faith in City Hall than they have after all of the kinds of scandals that Oxnard and local cities, neighboring cities have gone through. I would just like to quote the Citizens Journal, which is one of the sponsors of today's event, and they had a very good article called Making of a Great City Clerk. And they said, before and after the City Council takes action, the City Clerk ensures that actions are in compliance with all federal, state, and local statutes and regulations. This is a legal problem, and I think that right now Oxnard could use somebody like myself, an attorney, to apply a legal mind to making sure that the clerk's office is open and accessible and transparent. My name is Peter DeDomenico. I'm an attorney, and I'm running for clerk, and I want to ask you for your vote. I'm number 1 on the ballot and number 1 educated. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Paniagua.
The administration of an effective citywide records management program is the foundation of the city clerk's office and critical to an organization's reputation. With my extensive background and experience, I can implement procedures and introduce technology that will provide a solid foundation that can be built upon to automate other processes and systems, such as providing electronic access to public documents, automating the application processes for the boards and commissions, and ultimately fully automating the city council meeting process. I have been provided with many challenges and opportunities throughout my career and have been effective in working with individual units to achieve successful results. I can do the same with the city clerk's office. I started working for the city of Oxnard when I was 15 years old. I was raised in the city, I worked my entire career for the city, and I would like to continue to serve the Oxnard community as your next city clerk.
Let us give them all a round of applause.